admittance into the meeting. So I'm just going to hold off for like a minute or so before we get started so that I can make sure that everybody who wants to get in is able to do so. We still have several people coming into the meeting, so it'll just be a minute or so before we actually get started. Well, it seems like things are slowing down just a little bit. So we will go ahead and get started here. I'm going to share my screen with you. And I may have to pop out if more people request admittance, and I apologize up front for that. They keep coming every time I'm just about to project. Okay. Well, everyone, welcome. I'm happy to be here with you again this evening and on this beautiful day. I want to welcome you to our virtual parent forum where we're going to be discussing school reopening plans. My name is Dr. Julie Beto Schubert, and I am the Okasa Charter Principal. As we get started today, I wanted to just share with you the 3 items that we will be discussing: the reopening of campus, our safety plans, and then also provide an opportunity for you to ask questions. So to begin with, I'm sharing what we know as of today, because There is certainly a possibility that things can change over time, um, even all the way up to when we believe we're going to be starting school. And so I wanted you to know what information we're actually using to provide or to make the decisions that we're making. That includes the information that you provided to us through your parent preference form, which was where you chose to be 100% on campus, 100% online, or 50% on campus. There were two options, an AM option and a PM option. So one of the other pieces of information that came out as a result of asking these questions was that we heard from multiple parents as well as teachers that you were requesting to have your students stay in the classroom assignment that they currently are in so that they could continue with the relationship development. So that information, along with the parent preference form, is going to be used to help us determine what placement your children will be in, with the desire to keep children with their current teacher as much as possible. I can let you know that this week the teachers have been back on campus preparing their classrooms. And as we know it as of today, we're going to work on a phased-in approach. There will be 4 phases, and there will be a tentative start date of September 22nd. But once again, this is a tentative date because we definitely have the possibility of having a outbreak again, or increase in number of positive COVID tests across the county, which would potentially place us back on the list for not being able to open. So we're going to open school with special education services, and specifically those services will be any student who is in the midst or needs to have his or her special education services evaluations taken care of. There may be some individual and small group instruction provided on campus. You will be contacted if you have a student who is a special education student to receive services such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, or speech therapy. You will be contacted by the service provider to schedule that. Then, if everything goes as planned or hopeful, we would start a week later with having the yellow band students and the STEAM Plus teachers return to campus with our yellow band students that were open or that would be assigned to on-campus instruction. The third phase would begin, if all works out okay, on October 5th. Once again, this is a tentative date based upon the state blueprint. Would have orange band return. And then finally on October 13th, which is a Tuesday, October 12th is a holiday date, we would have red band return. And I want to really stress that the safest option is 100% online instruction. And during this entire process, 100% of the online instruction that is available will continue for anyone who wants to remain or can remain online. We're going to also make sure that we return to the full-time instruction. So when your child's band does return to campus, all students in the band, whether they are in distance instruction, so at home, or in person, meaning on campus, school will begin at 7:50 and end at 2:20. So this means that special education evaluation services would begin at 7:50 that first week, which would be tentatively is September 22nd, and could run through 2:20 in the afternoon. The second phase, red band and orange band, will still stay at the 9 o'clock start time and 2 o'clock end time with all distance learning, and yellow band will return to campus for those students who are in-person instruction, 7:50 with the start time and 2:20 with an end time. The third phase has red band still at home with or on virtual learning from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock, but orange band and yellow band will be in person from 7:50 to 2:20. Then finally, the fourth phase, all students that are going to be receiving in-person instruction will be back on campus from 7:50 to 2:20, and all virtual learning will happen from 7:50 to 2:20. Next, I want to move into what we're doing as far as our schedules. So with the online learning schedules and the in-person learning schedules, they will be updated and will be shared with families at least 1 week before your band returns to campus. This also is the same with families who are going to be choosing or who will have in-person learning instruction. They will also receive their updated schedules at least 1 week before instruction begins and students return to campus. As far as online and in-person schedules, it will be the same time for whole group instruction, meaning if you have a child who is 100% virtual or is on in-person instruction, it will be at the same time for whole group instruction. There will be different times based upon the individual needs for small group and independent practice. Your STEAM Plus time, whether it is online or in person, will be at the same time. So look for more information as it relates to updated schedules. So what will instruction look like? We are going to be installing additional conference hardware and software that will support virtual and in-person instruction. This will allow for whole group instruction to be delivered, whether it be by the lead teacher or co-teacher or instructional assistant, as well as having the lead teacher or co-teacher supporting the virtual instruction. So that is happening simultaneously with both of the teachers and the instructional assistants working together. Once again, that small group instruction will be in flexible groups. It will be led by either the lead teacher, the instructional assistant, or the ed service provider for students. There will be independent practice, and we will eventually work towards also having collaborative groups that could potentially go cross between in-person and online instruction. As far as our safety plan is concerned, we are asking that you partner with us if your student is coming to campus, that you take their temperature at home before they leave, and you will have an opportunity to enter that information into a mobile app or using your computer into Parent Square. More information about how to access that will be following. It's in a testing phase right now. If your child becomes ill during the day, he or she will be removed from the classroom and have their temperature taken. And if they're sick, the family will be called to pick up the child. We're also going to provide direct instruction for all students that will be developmentally appropriate as it relates to social distancing, hand washing, and wearing of masks. In addition, we're adding some additional safety considerations to the campus. So any classroom that does not currently have a sink will have a hand washing station added to the classroom. We are adding hands-free flushing within the bathroom, and we are adding sink mats, and hand sanitizer stations in each classroom. There will be additional outdoor shading for increased outdoor learning spaces to accomplish a social distancing for small group instruction. Each classroom is going to be set up with social distancing protocols, and then our outdoor classroom, lunch area, and any other shaded area will be set up for social distancing protocols. In addition, we'll have a full-time day porter who will be responsible for frequent cleaning of high-touch areas, including handrails and doorknobs, as well as sanitizing outdoor and classroom surfaces on a frequent basis. The nightly janitorial services will conduct disinfecting of all surfaces within the classroom and bathroom cleaning, as well as typical janitorial services. So what if there is a positive or are positive cases for COVID? All families within the classroom and the campus will be notified of the fact that there was a positive test. If it resided within just one classroom, they will be asked to not be on campus for 14 days. So they will be in quarantine. Distance learning will be restarted for that classroom and for all of those students. And there will be disinfecting and sanitizing of that classroom, as well as high-touch areas across the campus. If there's more than one positive test within on the campus, we'll consult with public health officials regarding campus closing and follow the guidelines that they provide for us. If campus is closed or multiple sites are closed, distance learning will be restarted, and there will be an intense disinfecting and sanitizing process that occurs before returning to campus. At this point in time, I wanted to just offer up my phone number as well as my email for you to be able to reach out to me. J.A. for Julie Ann, Beto, B as in boy, E as in Edward, D as in dog, D as in dog, O as in Oscar, Schubert, SCHUBERT at okasacharter.org. And my number is 949-269-3294. And at this point in time, I'm going to ask my colleagues, Kapil Mathur and Doreen Ferriato, to assist with reading off any questions that need to be answered in the chat box.
Okay. The first question is, does Okasa have a plan to upgrade classroom internet? Our teacher has been conducting class from school and hasn't had a connection working well all week.
To the best of my knowledge, our internet is very stable. And so I think what needs to happen is I need to reach out to that specific teacher and find out where he or she is actually conducting classes. And because we do typically have a very stable internet connection. And so if you could please send me an email with the name of that teacher so I can reach out and problem solve around that. And then Kapil, if you have any background knowledge about the upload and download capability within the on campus, that would be helpful information if you are able to share that at this point in time.
Yes, we have a 200 megabit internet connection at each of the sites. I am aware, I'm assuming that this is, this parent is talking about Mrs. Goody's class. So we are aware that she's been having difficulty connecting. We have not, it hasn't, it's still being determined whether it's a problem with the internet per se. More likely, it's some upgrading or something that needs to be done on her laptop.
Thank you, Capel.
Okay, the next question is, what is Okasa's policy for parents appearing unannounced during online instruction? If a parent appears on screen unmuted on their child's Google Meet.
There was a notice that was sent out at the beginning of the year requesting for online confidentiality that each parent was required to sign. And as far as parents appearing unannounced during online instruction, I would need to know the specific instances, and I would reach out to that parent to ask them to not be on camera during instruction time.
Okay. The next question is, can you please be more specific about social distancing protocols in the classroom and outside?
Certainly. Within the classroom, all desks are being placed 6 feet apart from each other. There is a flow pattern. So the way in which we will actually have students enter into the room and be seated at their desks to maintain social distancing that is being developed by the teachers and the STEAM Plus teachers. All small group instruction will still happen with 6 feet of distance. The outside protocols, we will have X's placed on the lunch tables and small group seating areas to indicate where small group instruction and lunch can be held so that students maintain social distancing during that time. The other part of the protocol is the direct instruction. And so each teacher will be providing direct instruction on social distancing. And so practicing, I've even seen teachers creating helpful artifacts to ensure 6 feet of social distancing for students, where they're actually assigned a specific place with their name identified in that place, and an object that will actually keep them social distance 6 feet apart that they are hanging on to. And then when, as far as lining up and that kind of thing, we will also maintain and have outdoor adult supervision to remind students of the 6 feet of social distancing.
Okay. The next question is, and I'm assuming this is regarding quarantining and classroom closures. The question is, does this apply to if a family member tests positive or just the student?
If a family member tests positive, the student will be asked to quarantine for 14 days, and they will be able to receive distance instruction.
Did I miss you saying anything about face coverings?
The only thing that I mentioned about face coverings is that we would be teaching students about the proper protocols for wearing face coverings. I should mention that face coverings are required in grades 2 through 5. And yeah.
Will there still be only 16 kids per classroom at a time?
That is the current plan, yes.
How are teachers going to do AM, PM in class and virtual all at once? If kids keep their same teacher, but some families within the class select different amongst the 4 options.
So I'm working currently with the classroom teachers to review and make the final placements based upon maintaining the first or second preference of the parents in relationship to what they chose, and making and taking into consideration the requests for maintaining the same teacher. And at this point in time, it appears that there are very few 50-50 requests that would allow for us to actually have that that option. But that is, like I said, we're still in process of reviewing all of that data.
Will all in-person instruction be full day, or will there still be half-day options? Is plexiglass around desks a consideration?
I just answered the in-person full day versus half day options. We're working through that at this time. There are very limited number of students who are requesting half day. So more to follow on that. Is the plexiglass around the desk considered as an option? Not at this point in time, but one doesn't know if that will change or not. But at this point in time, we're not considering it. We're going to use the social distancing and the masks because even if you have plexiglass, social distancing is still a requirement.
Hi, wondering how many students will be on campus classrooms. How will the instruction of extra classes work?
So there will be 16 students per classroom. The instruction for the extra classes, students will go to their STEAM Plus classes with in the classroom teachers within the STEAM classroom setting. Mr. or Senora Garcia will do a push-in into the classroom for Spanish. The time where the students are actually out of the classroom is a time where I will be able to have the day porter come in and do some disinfecting and cleaning of surfaces for students.
If we selected for in-person, hang on, it just rolled off my screen here. If we selected in-person for first choice, when will we find out if we are in fact getting in-person, or when will we know if we are in a lottery for in-person?
At this point in time, I am hoping that I will have class placements finalized by the end of next week. And so that would allow for us to communicate that before September 22nd. And if you remember, that's a tentative start date, but that is only for special education assessments and evaluations and potentially some individual or small group instruction on campus. So I would anticipate that you would know before September 22nd. That is my hope, unless I run into any problems.
Are there plans to keep classroom windows and doors open all day to increase ventilation?
Yes, that is our plan.
Is there a plan to still have some outdoor instruction time?
Yes, we would like to have opportunities outdoor instruction. We want to take into consideration the outdoor conditions when we are doing that. But yes, we would very much like to have that opportunity.
Are face shields acceptable?
Masks are required for grades 2 through 5. If there is a known medical condition or disability, then and it is documented, face shields would be allowable, but they do not provide the same level of protection that a face mask does provide.
Can you just clarify, what do you mean by documentation?
You would need a documentation from a medical provider indicating that your child has a condition or disability that it precludes them from wearing masks.
Okay. The next question. Will the after-school program be offered?
At this point in time, we're working through the logistics to be able to offer that. It is our intent that we would be able to offer that program, but it may not begin until we actually have all of our kids back on campus. We just don't have a firm start date as of yet.
I'm sorry if I'm misunderstanding. Do I need to specifically request for my child to keep his same teacher?
No, you do not need to specifically request that. There were a significant number of parents who reached out to their child's teacher as well as to me to indicate that that was a desire. And so I have made a conscious, and actually a request from the teachers as well. I've made a conscious effort to make that a priority as a part of the placement process.
I joined a little late. Do we have an updated date when we can do in-person class?
We're tentatively starting, and it is a tentative date, with special education evaluation only. So any child who is going through some type of special education evaluation on the week of September 22nd. Then we would start with yellow band tentatively the following week. We would add orange band the week after that, and then finally red band the following week. These are all tentative dates.
The next question. What happens if a student tests positive for COVID and they have been to the Beyond the Stars program? Will everyone in that program have to quarantine for 2 weeks, including their teachers?
Under our current protocols, yes, that would be the case if they were in the same classroom. But there are new guidance and standards for Beyond the Stars programming for the cohorts of students to stay in classes of 14. So the likelihood of the exposure for the entire program would be minimal.
If we are requesting in-person and our teacher changes, can we opt for virtual and then go back to our current teacher?
You can always opt for virtual. Like I said previously, my plan is to maintain the current student and teacher relationships.
Is it possible for a student to do distance learning but come to campus for their IEP service?
This is not something that we have had conversations about. I think it is an excellent point, and I will go ahead and ask my colleagues to write down your name, and I will reach out to the teachers and to have a discussion and speak with Kapil and Doreen about how this could be addressed, and get back to you on that question.
The California Department of Health released a document last week regarding the return to in-person school, and the document states face coverings and does not specifically state face masks.
To the best of my knowledge, what they're referencing when they talk about face coverings is face masks. I would have to look at the definitions page if they have one. But the coverings they may be referencing could certainly be what you see around with people wearing bandanas and other types of coverings. So I would have to do a little bit more research in regards to the definition of coverings.
Will it be possible that Beyond the Stars is available the week of September 29th?
That is a possibility, but I cannot at this point in time guarantee, because I need to work through the logistics of that program before I can give you any firm dates. Everything is tentative at this point.
How do we apply for the half-day option?
The actual parent preference form went out a couple weeks ago and has been closed. If you have a special consideration and you would like to reach out to me via email, please go ahead and send me an email explaining what your concern is, and we can have a conversation offline.
Is it necessary for virtual students to start at 7:50, since there will need to be time for in-person students to settle in class, put things away, etc.?
That is an excellent question. School does begin at 7:15 when we're on campus, with the intent that morning meeting is starting. So I'll have a conversation with my teachers in regards to when they're on campus, when they actually believe morning meeting will start, because we definitely want to have the students who are virtual also attending morning meeting. But I think that's an excellent point, and I will work on further clarification.
I'm concerned about what learning experience will be like for the 100% virtual learning week. Can you go a little bit more into detail about what the day will look like for those kids?
Certainly. They will be obviously asked to attend morning meeting. Typically then the red band and the orange band move into their English language arts curriculum, and yellow band typically starts their math curriculum. So students will be asked to be present for whole group instruction. And then there will be a schedule of small group instruction that will be provided in the week at a glance in the WAG. And so you will know when the virtual students who are learning distant are needed to come back online for their small group instruction. Those in between times, there will have specific independent practice and or repeated practice on the work that has been assigned that kids can do offline. And then there will be a scheduled time for students to return for their next whole group instruction and small group instruction. Time will be scheduled for lunch, as well as the STEAM Plus classes. Those will run simultaneously. The STEAM Plus classes will run simultaneously with the in-person instruction. So it's just like the whole group setting. And that will actually be the entire class period that students will be connected for STEAM, because there's a lot of interactive opportunities and activities that can be done in a virtual setting as well as in an online setting for kids to be able to share. So it will be very similar to the experiences now in regards to when they come online for instruction for small group, and very similar to their experiences now for whole group instruction.
What do we need to do to ensure siblings get the same learning preference? Online versus in-person versus 50-50.
That's actually one of the considerations that I am looking at and cross-referencing. And it will also be something that I ask each of the teachers just to make sure that I'm not missing anything to say, do any of the children here in your classroom have siblings that you are aware of? And then I'll also use our student information system to assure that they are given the same placement. There may be some cases where parents are actually requesting that they have different types of placement. And that would be the bigger concern, is that if I would miss something like that.
Okay, there's a question for me on upload speed that I'll respond to offline. Next question is, during whole group instruction, where is the camera in the classroom? Will at-home kids be seeing the teacher only or the whole room?
At this point in time, we're actually working through the placement of the virtual or the video conferencing hardware and software. At this point in time, we are thinking that it is actually going to be towards the back of the classroom, pointed towards the front, so it has direct look at the whiteboard. With really, you would end up seeing just like you were sitting behind a student. But that has not been finalized. We really need to test that out within the actual classroom setting.
That was your last question.
If you have additional questions, please feel free to email me directly or take a moment to write your questions in the chat box. We do have a few more minutes if you would like to stay on with additional questions.
We had one just come in. For in-person classes, will students within a band but in different classrooms join for the STEAM Plus classes?
They will all be separate classes, so there will only be 16 students in each STEM or STEAM class going in a cohort. So if you are in Mrs. Ware's classroom for in-person instruction, all of those students in Mrs. Ware's classroom will go to the same STEAM Plus class with all of the students that are virtual in Mrs. Ware's classroom.
Will there still be a lottery for in-person?
If there is a need for a lottery, yes.
Will preferences for in-person versus online learning be reassessed throughout the year?
We have not had that exact conversation. At this point in time, we don't know when we're going to be actually fully returning to campus. So at this point in time, what we're thinking is that this will at least be through the semester, but there is a potential that it would be for the entire school year.
Okay. When will we know about who is in person and not?
I'm hoping to have that information communicated before September 22nd. That's my tentative date.
Are you considering having the in-person students with one teacher and then having online students with the other teacher, since we have 2 teachers per class? So 16 each teacher with one group online and then one group with the other teacher. Both curriculum planning done by the week.
At this point in time, what I've asked the teachers to do is to, obviously all curriculum planning is done by the lead with the support by the IA. And I've asked that they actually share responsibilities so that both teachers are working with both groups.
How will online students be participating with the in-person class? Will an assistant teacher be fielding questions from the Google Meet kids for the main teacher?
That is one way in which we will be able to monitor and facilitate those questions. It could be that the assistant teacher is providing direct instruction and the lead is fielding the questions. So it will be shared responsibility based upon what the lead and the co-teacher or instructional assistant decide is best for that particular lesson and that particular time.
I really want the 50-50. I hope you have enough to offer it.
Thank you.
Following on from Kristen's question, re the camera placement. Will there be a dedicated teacher who can manage the questions from students who are online only?
I apologize. My dog is barking in the background, even though I put food down for him. I'm really sorry for the disruption. To answer the question about will there be somebody fielding questions? Yes, there will be somebody fielding questions. I cannot say it's going to be the assistant teacher. It could be the lead teacher. It's dependent upon the decision that the lead and the instructional assistant make together for that particular lesson. I'm going to mute for a second and go close my sliding glass door so at least my verbally abusive dog is not as loud. I'll be right back.
Are you ready for the next question?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm sorry we came late. Is on-campus instruction still beginning on September 8th?
No, on-campus instruction will not begin on September 8th. This is as a result of the state blueprint that came out last Friday. And at this point in time, the tentative start for special education assessment services only is September 22nd, with yellow band following the next week, and then orange band the following week after that, so week 3 after, and then red band in the 4th week. These are all tentative dates and times.
We are hoping for half day as well, especially for our 4th grader who would need to wear a mask.
Thank you for that comment.
I'm surprised to hear there is not a lot of interest in 50-50 because almost everyone I talk to says that is their first choice.
Thank you for your comment.
We did not, in the survey that we sent out to parents, we did not find that 50-50 was a significant first choice.
No.
Small group instruction has been where I've seen the most engagement, in particular with my kindergartner. Will small group instruction make up the majority of the school day for online kids?
I believe it will be about half and half, but that also obviously is dependent upon the age level of the student. and what's developmentally appropriate for them as far as attention is concerned. So there really is not a hard and fast answer to that. But when the schedules come out from the teachers, it will be very clear as to where the whole group and small group and independent practice is to take place.
The 50-50 times are very inconvenient for working parents. I realize it may be unavoidable.
Thank you for your comment, Dale.
That's all we have for now.
Well, once again, thank you so much for your time. Please feel free to reach out to me, whether it's via email or Parent Square, and I will do my very best to answer questions. Do keep in mind that there is no school on Monday, and so it's a national holiday. I will hopefully not be working. I might be, but so if you do not hear from me until Tuesday, please understand that is because we are not on campus Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.